What is up, everybody? Welcome to Apocaflix Movies. This is our Padawan anthology series where we talk about some Star Wars stuff in a shorter fashion, not in the long podcast fashion, but more of just some smaller videos that aren't technically canon connections but have to do with Star Wars. I am Jacob. That is Jake. How's it going, man?
It's good, man. I'm excited to talk about this.
Me too. We haven't really talked about the trailer or the title in person. We've maybe on group chat a little bit, but not too much in person. Yeah. So I'm excited to get into it. You asked me not too long ago, just my initial thoughts. What do I think of the title? So that's what we're going to get into today, some title speculation. What does the Rise of Skywalker mean?
Who is it talking about?
What is it talking about? Like, this is crazy. A title has never, been so mysterious. And because I was saying, The Force Awakens, self-explanatory. Like, it's awakening in Rey.
30 years since the Force.
It's awakening in Rey. They even implied that in the trailers, right? The Last Jedi, okay, it's talking about Luke or Rey, or one of them or both of them, whatever.
Yeah.
Simple. The Rise of Skywalker for Episode 9, for the end of the saga, it's so confusing. But I will say, I like the title.
So do I.
I like it, but that can change in a good or bad way depending on what it means.
Yeah. Obviously, by our trailer reaction, you could tell how I reacted to the title. I freaked. We've never seen Skywalker in a title before. It's the first time we've ever seen the last name of Skywalker in a title.
Yeah, I know.
And the Rise of Skywalker, not only does it sound great, it's like a perfectly put together title. It's so, like you said, it's so mysterious.
It really,
so
really
mysterious.
And especially what they do to us right before the title's shown, which is they show Rey, Poe, Finn, and Chewie, and C-3PO, and BB-8, and that new little droid.
Dio's his name.
Dio. And I think it's going to be them on an adventure together. Yes. That group right there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Where's R2 though? Who knows?
I know. That's the big bummer, man.
Yeah.
We don't see much of him anymore.
Yeah. It's all good. It's BB-8's story now. They're approaching one of the Death Stars, the remnants of one of them, and then we get the Palpatine laugh with the line, "No one's ever really gone," and the title.
Yep.
So beautifully done. So for me, I was shocked when I saw the title. I would never in a million years, I don't think anyone ever would have guessed that was the title.
Not at all. We've seen all the speculation and the rumors about what kind of title people are thinking.
The one go-to thing, which is probably like the easiest, okay, this is what it probably means, is that Raisa Skywalker. Do you subscribe to that theory?
I do a little bit, but it's not in the form of her.
At first, I thought for sure that's what it was, but I've changed my mind kind of.
Yeah, it can go either way.
Yeah.
I don't believe that this is going to happen. I would love to see this happen. But I buy into the theory that she's a clone.
Okay.
Because the only reason why is because, the theory that The Force Awakens, when it was first written, that Luke's hand, it started off with seeing Luke's hand floating in space. That theory, or that writing portion, was scrapped. JJ's had that in his mind since he wrote, and now that he's doing 9, it's kind of a perfect way to do it all, and in a way rewrite what Rian Johnson did with her parentage, even though I don't believe he's trying to do that.
Yes.
It was a mysterious reveal anyway in The Last Jedi. It could have gone either way, but I do somewhat buy into the theory that she can be a Skywalker in the form of a clone.
Okay.
No, I don't think that she's like a pure born, have a mother, father Skywalker. If it's done right, I will lose my mind.
Yeah. That's what I want. I
would love to see that.
I don't know how I feel about the clone thing, man. I don't think I want that to be the case, because then it's tough, because we have clone characters in the Clone Wars who they have their own personalities, and we love those characters like Rex and things like that. But for me, it kind of takes away from Rey if she's just a clone in a way.
Yeah, but she was also she wasn't born to be a clone. She was born that she was raised as a normal person. Maybe there was a reason.
They just used someone's DNA to create a human. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't buy into the theory that it's going to happen. Would I love to see it? Yes, because it's the first time we ever see it in Star Wars.
I think it makes sense because obviously Palpatine has some role to play in this story. Whether he's alive or not, which I don't think he is.
No. I think it's a recording or maybe his subconscious uploaded to something.
He can be a Force ghost. There's no saying we can't see a dark side Force ghost.
Very interesting.
But that would make sense, Yeah. And to me, what do you think Palpatine, after hearing from Vader that him and Luke fought and he cut off Luke's hand, that somewhere out there, Luke's hand's floating. You think the first thing Palpatine would do if he knew cloning's possible is go out and get that hand? Like, that's what I'm saying, and that's how it could tie into Palpatine. But for me, it can mean anything. It can be talking about Kylo, and he redeems himself, and in doing so, the Rise of Skywalker, and maybe he survives this movie, and he ends up being the leader of this new republic in a good way, and it's the Rise of Skywalker. I don't know how I feel about that.
Man. I don't want him going good.
Neither do I. I don't want him to die, though, which is, we can talk about that later.
Whole nother video.
But also, it can be referring to Leia.
Yeah, it could.
Leia
And
Skywalker.
I've started to buy into that theory because we talked, the whole plan for this trilogy, even though there never seemed to be like a legit plan for this trilogy, the one big thing that they always talked about is that The Force Awakens was Han's movie. The Last Jedi is Luke's, and this one was supposed to be Leia's.
That's what makes me think, if this movie was supposed to be Leia's, and the name of it is The Rise of Skywalker...
It's definitely very possible.
Yeah.
The only counter argument is the fact that she wasn't on set for filming. That there wasn't a lot of footage to use. If Carrie Fisher was still alive and this was still the title, I would have been like, yes, for sure, that's what it is. And so I love the theories about it being Rey, and I do believe more than anything that it is focused on Rey. But I'm really starting to believe the fact that it could be could be talking about Luke.
Yes, because that's the next one I was going to get to.
The Rise of Skywalker, we know that he's gone, per se, but we know that he's the most powerful Jedi to ever live, period. Like, his ability has surpassed everyone's, no matter what kind of failures he's had in his life. We don't know what he can do as a Force ghost or possibly some other entity that could be physical in the world still. There's a huge possibility, and not only that, but a lot of people are overlooking the voiceover by him in the trailer.
It was
the
huge.
Words, not only at the end, but the beginning as well. Those are huge words.
Oh,
and so I'm starting to believe more than anything that it could be pointing towards him.
It's just maybe about Luke and his influence on Rey, and then him and the rest of the Skywalker family ultimately telling this saga over 9 movies and what it's meant to the galaxy. Like, it could be that. That's kind of what I was thinking about, and something I was talking about to Gio about yesterday. Like, what if it's kind of just a symbol for the Skywalker family
overall,
and overall what they've done for the galaxy and what they end up doing in Episode 9? So you have Leia, leading this resistance to a victory, and maybe she becomes the new chancellor of a new republic.
Totally.
And then you have Luke having his influence on Rey, training her. Maybe on top of that, Rey is also somehow a Skywalker, whether by clone or by birth. And then on top of that, Kylo redeems himself. All of that, and it's the Rise of Skywalker, like the family of the Skywalkers.
And we know that through the entire saga, the Skywalkers have gone through absolute hell. Their entire family, and so maybe there is some good out there.
They finally, have a happy ending, even though it's, Luke's dead. Leia is whatever Leia's going to be doing, and then whatever Ben ends up doing. Maybe he does die, but maybe he finds peace and turns to the light at the end, which we don't really want because it's just Vader over again. And that's one thing that I do agree with people with, is that is just Vader again. It depends how they do it, but who knows? So I'll ask you this before we end this video: if you had to choose one, you have to put $100 on one theory, what would you go with?
See, my initial reaction would be Rey, because that's what I want. That's what I've always wanted through these movies. Yeah. But my mind always goes back to one thing, and that's JJ. He has a feeling for Luke that a lot of people don't have for Luke. He was the central part of The Force Awakens, even though he wasn't in the film.
He was the MacGuffin.
He was the part of The Force Awakens. Yeah. And if he had done all 3 movies, it would be a very different Luke in the trilogy. So he always had a plan for Luke. And so my feeling is like he's coming back for 9. He wants to do something with Luke, and that's probably what it is, in my opinion, anyway. Because it's all about JJ. Because that was his whole point of The Force Awakens, was setting up this thing to go find Luke and using Luke as this central part of the story, and then it kind of got wiped away.
Yeah.
And now he kind of wants to right that wrong in a way, because now he's able to kind of finish off the trilogy how he wants to.
If I have to choose, I think that Raisa Skywalker.
I would love this. And I know a lot of people are like, don't do that. It all depends on how it's
Here's
done.
the thing,
It
like,
all depends on how it's
people
done.
are like, oh, it shrinks the universe, and I disagree with that. You by introducing a new character and having her, and you have Poe and Finn, it doesn't shrink the universe, it expands it, in my opinion. So for me, I think the thing that makes the most sense is you don't, because honestly, in this trilogy, Luke is a side character.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah.
And you don't name a movie after a side character. You don't. And you know, Rey's the main character, Kylo's the second main character. So it could be about Kylo. I think Rey is a Skywalker, and I don't think it's by clone. I don't think it's by clone. And I think that because even if it is about Ben, right? His last name isn't Skywalker.
It's Solo.
He doesn't go
That's
by
what a lot of people are
Skywalker.
overlooking. A lot of people are overlooking that.
Even if he does redeem himself, he's not going to go by Skywalker. So for me, I think somehow Rey is a Skywalker, and that's her last name. Like, her last name by birth is Skywalker.
By one of...
I don't think it's Luke's kid. I think, look, there's 30 years in between. It's a lot of time for a lot of things to happen. And I'm not saying this is it, but there's a lot of possibilities. No one ever said that Anakin never had another romance after Revenge of the Sith. No one ever said that he wasn't able to produce offspring after Revenge of the Sith. No one ever said that. She could be another one of Anakin's grandchildren. I'm just saying, it's
crazy.
a possibility.
Dude, that'd be effing crazy.
So for me, I would love it if, you know what, this is what it is, and accept it. Rey is a Skywalker, and she was all along. So that's what I think.
I mean, I would love to see her Skywalker. I would,
Yeah.
because it kind of just wraps everything up. And remember all the conversations and the stuff we talked about when The Force Awakens was coming out. She's a Skywalker. She's a Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then that was washed away, and then it kind of popped back up a little bit.
Because I think Rey did have somebody looking after her when she was a young girl, but it wasn't her real parents. I think two junk traders were looking after her, and they sold her to Unkar Plutt.
And that's what Kylo saw and thinks, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. It's very interesting.
That's my theory for sure. And the thing is, this movie has to earn that title.
Yeah.
You can't just, it's
Name
The Rise
it,
of
yeah.
Skywalker, but it's not really, doesn't really make sense though, you know? I think this movie has to earn the title.
you.
And it
I feel
would
you.
that way for me.
Yeah, no,
but
no,
it also would, honestly, if it's about Luke, and Luke does something in this movie that, you know, ultimately is a huge difference maker, then that works too.
I feel you.
That works too.
Cool.
All right, well, any last thoughts on the trailer? Or
No,
the trailer
I'm just
title?
I just want to know, and I know we're not
Yeah.
going to know until the movie comes out. But I do love the title. I think it's great. It's very different from.
It makes sense, like, because this whole saga is about the Skywalkers.
Exactly, and like you said when we first heard it, it doesn't feel like a title that is ending a saga. That's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah, it's weird.
But, it's a fun title. It's a good title. It flows really nicely, and the saga has been about them, and so it just makes sense.
Yeah, I love the title. I just hope the movie earns it. That's all I gotta say.
I'm with you.
All right, well, that'll do it for this video about the title of Episode 9. I am Jacob. That's Jake. Thanks for joining me, man. What do you guys think? Do you think that this title has some significance towards Rey, towards Luke, towards Leia, Kylo, or all of them, towards Anakin somehow? We'll see.
He wants to wrap up. He wants to wrap up them all. He wants to bring it all full circle.
We got that Death Star, and
everything's in
we'll
there.
find out.
Everything's
we'll find
in there.
out. All right. Thank you all for watching this video. See you guys next time.